All right, class, welcome to our second lesson on Europe, languages. Now, if you were looking at this tree and you were thinking, what on earth is this? I'll explain a little bit later, but first you need to be able to answer a question for me. So we're going to go to our map of Europe. Can you answer this question? Why is it that a majority of teenagers and young adults in Europe can speak multiple languages? And when I say speak multiple languages, I mean speak multiple languages fluently, not, oh hey, I know how to say hello. Why is it that a majority of teenagers and young adults in Europe can speak multiple languages? I want you to think about that question for a second. Why is that the case? And here's the second question. Why is it the case that a majority of teenagers and young adults here in the United States do not speak multiple languages, meaning can speak multiple languages fluently? So in Europe, which is a continent, by the way, but we're comparing that continent to our country of the United States. Why on the continent, why in all these many countries, if we look at the continent of Europe, why is it that a majority of teenagers / young adults can speak multiple languages, but here in the United States, a majority of teenagers and young adults do not speak multiple languages? Think about that for a second. If you're thinking, I still have no idea what the answer is, let's take a look. All right, webcam off of its little perch here. Let's take a look at our good friend, Germany. All right, so we used Germany for relative location. We might as well use Germany now. So let's take a look at Germany, and let's think for a second. What language do people in Germany speak? Well, they speak German. Hopefully most of you knew that answer. But let's take a look at the countries that border Germany, and let's see what languages they speak. This will help us to answer that question of how come a majority of teenagers and young adults in Europe know multiple languages. So we're just going to take the country of Germany. Let's look at all the countries that border Germany. So we have Denmark. People in Denmark speak Danish. If we go to Poland, people in Poland speak Polish. People in the Czech Republic speak Czech. People in Austria do speak German. People in Switzerland, they speak a type of German, Swiss German, but also the official languages of Switzerland, besides Swiss German, are also French and Italian and Romansh. So it depends on where you are in Switzerland. People in France, that borders Germany, they speak French. People in Belgium, they speak Dutch and Flemish. So one of two languages, either Flemish or Dutch. Sorry, did I say Flemish or Dutch? I apologize to all the people in Belgium. That is Flemish and French. Flemish is a type of Dutch. So people in Belgium, do not be angry with Mr. McGee. People in Belgium speak Flemish or French. People in the Netherlands speak Dutch. So think about all the countries, and you can take this video, rewind it for a second. Think about all the people, all the countries I just named that speak different languages. Well, if you're going to venture anywhere outside of Germany, you better know some other languages of the people around you, because you step out, unless you plan on going to Austria, everybody else is speaking a different language. Even Switzerland, Swiss German. It's a mixture of German, a little bit of a Swiss version of German, I should say. But look at all these other places. No matter where you go, people are speaking different languages. So you have to know multiple languages. It is a necessity. Now, if you remember, the second question was, why is it that we don't have a lot of people why a majority of teenagers and young adults in the United States not know multiple languages? Now, again, this is North America. Now, you notice, by the way, Mr. McGee has it all sideways. Now, you notice for a second, I am comparing the United States, which is a country, to Europe, which is a continent, but I'm doing that to make a point. So don't mix that up. The United States is not a continent like Europe. But think about it. The United States, we speak English. We only border two countries. And look at these two countries. Canada. Canada speaks English, with the exception of Quebec. Quebec speaks French. But most of Canada, wow, there we go. Most of Canada speaks English. And then you have Mexico. Mexico speaks Spanish. So for us in the United States, we're an English-speaking country. We're bordered by a mostly English-speaking country and a Spanish-speaking country. Now, if you look at a lot of our schools, think about the foreign language. What's the foreign language that is taught the most in the United States? It's Spanish, which kind of makes sense because we border Mexico that speaks Spanish. But there really isn't a need to have to learn multiple languages when you speak English and the country to the north of you speaks English and this one country speaks Spanish. You might need to know some Spanish, but for the most part, it makes sense that most teenagers and adults would know English, but not necessarily need to know another language. And you could travel here and you'd be fine. You need to know some Spanish if you're traveling to Mexico. But for the most part, the United States is a very huge country, so you can travel around, still speak English, go up to Canada, speak English. But if we go to Europe, again, look at it. We have smaller countries in Europe, and a lot of these countries are bordering other countries that don't speak the same language. Let's take a look at France. So here's France here. They border Spain that speaks Spanish. They border Italy that speaks Italian. They border Switzerland, which again, depending on where you are in Switzerland, they'll speak French or German or Romansh or Swiss German. France borders Germany that speaks German. France borders Belgium. Some people in Belgium speak French. Other people speak Flemish. See, people from Belgium, I got it right this time. And across the channel from France, there's England that speaks English. So ladies and gentlemen, you better know if you're living in France, unless you plan on just living in France for the rest of your life, if you want to travel outside of there, you have to know multiple languages. So it becomes important to be able to do so. So a lot of times, when you see places where there's a high level of multilingual people, a lot of times it's because of necessity, meaning it's need. They have to know multiple languages because of where they're traveling or what is around the country that they live in. All right? So that is the answer to that question. Now let's take a look at our weird language tree. I'm putting this on the platform, but I'm about to take it off in just a second. So, Mr. McGee is going to move out of the way. Let's take a look here. So do you guys see our language tree? Now, this kind of helps us to understand languages. Languages, people didn't just, oh, you know what? I'm just going to make up something and I'll just call it a language. That's not how that works. A lot of times, different languages are from the same family or close to the same family, or they have the same background. Now, if you notice, if we go up close here, it says Indo-European languages. So we're talking about Indo, in this case, meaning we're heading into a lot of Asian languages from India, and depending on where we're going in India, sorry, not just India, but also heading towards the Middle East. This would be what we do in 7th grade. So we're going to ignore this huge branch of the Indo-European language tree. We are going to focus on European languages. So we're going to focus on this huge branch. Now, just as a note for you, just for some of you guys who love languages, down here all by itself, not connected to any of them, is Finnish, Hungarian. Finnish and Hungarian are the main things. We call these Estonian. We call these languages Uralic languages, and they are very hard for a lot of people to learn who are not Hungarian, Finnish, Estonian, because they are so different from other languages. So it has its own little tiny tree over here. All right, let's get back to European languages. So this huge branch called European languages, if we follow it, it's going to split into 3 main branches, and you will need to write these branches down. We have Slavic languages. We have Romance languages. Also, by the way, Romance is also called Latin. So Latin languages, Romance. So Romance languages, that, again, if you hear someone say, oh, these Latin languages, they mean Romance. So Romance languages and Germanic languages. So again, the three main branches of European languages, the three main branches are Slavic, Romance, and Germanic. Now, in the family that's called Slavic, you notice you have the branch breaks out into leaves here. In the family of Slavic languages, some of the main languages from the Slavic family are Russian, Ukrainian, and Polish. If we go to the Romance languages, by the way, Romance has nothing to do with, romance and love, okay? It deals with the fact that when we're talking about Latin languages or Romance languages, think of Rome, as in the Roman Empire. So, Romance languages, Latin. Again, Latin would have been spoken in the Roman Empire. So those are Romance languages. So let's look at some of our main Romance languages. We have Spanish. We've got Portuguese. Mr. McGee needs to turn that around. We have Portuguese. We have Italian. And we have French. Those are some of the main Romance languages, right? So Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French. Now if we go to the last of the main branches, Germanic. Now if you hear Germanic, I'm hoping that the first thing you thought about was German. Now if we look here, for Germanic languages, we have German, English. English is a Germanic language. So we have English. I have no idea what these animals, I don't know if they're supposed to be squirrels. They look like little evil squirrels. I don't know, like evil vampire squirrel. Okay, that has nothing to do with any of this, but that just looks weird. I don't know, some artist needs to go back to art class. So we have English over here, and then we have Dutch. And over here, let's go with Swedish. We have Swedish and Danish. So again, three main branches of European languages. We have the Slavic family that has languages like Russian, Polish, Ukrainian. We have the Romance or Latin family that has such languages as Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, and French. And then we have the Germanic languages, the Germanic family, and they have languages like German, English, Dutch. So you forgot where it's going. Dutch, Swedish, Danish. Now, you're going to notice with each family that even though the languages are different, so let's say if we look at the Germanic languages, Swedish is very different from English, and yet you're going to see, well, I shouldn't say they're very different. Swedish is a different language from English, and yet you're going to see a lot of similarities between the languages, and maybe some words that, even if they don't share the word exactly, the pronunciation is very similar because they're from the same family. Same thing if you look at Spanish and Italian. It's actually said that if you can speak Spanish fluently, you can go to Italy and pretty much understand most of the language because of how similar it is. Same thing, you're going to see some similar words or variations of words in Russian and Ukrainian because they're from the same family. So this kind of helps us in understanding, all right, how do I translate certain words? If I'm traveling from one country in Europe to another country, how much work do I need to put in trying to understand that language? Or is it a completely different branch? Do they have a completely different system for how they speak and how you write? So understanding languages is very important. Right, your homework for today, this is going to be a shorter video, or not really that short, we're at 13 minutes. You need to think of this sentence. My name is, insert your name. So if you're Brenda, Brenda needs to say, my name is Brenda. Okay, that's English. Now, what I need you to do, if you go to Google Translate will work for something this simple. Can you figure out what would that be in German? How would you say, my name is Brenda? How would that be translated in German? So your homework for the Germanic branches, I want you to take the sentence, my name is, and again, if you're talking about Brenda, my name is Brenda, but whatever your name is, okay? So obviously, please do not give me a bunch of homework with my name is Brenda, because there's only one Brenda that I have in class. So whatever your name is, my name is, in English, I want you to see what does it look like in German, and what does it look like in Dutch. And then I want you to write and tell me what similarities do you see? Okay? In what ways are those sentences the same? Or in what differences do you see? So what differences do you see and what similarities do you see? So basically compare and contrast. So English, my name is, whatever your name is, translated into German, translated into Dutch, and tell me what are the similarities, what are the differences. Same thing, I want you to take that my name is, whatever your name is, translate it into Spanish, translate it into Portuguese, translate it into Italian. And then comment and tell me what differences and what similarities do you see. Then I want you to take that same sentence, my name is, whatever your name is, translate it into Russian, translate it into Ukrainian, and translate it into Polish. And I want you to do the same thing. What similarities do you see? What differences do you see? So if you need to play that back, you can. Now, obviously, you don't need to send me 3 separate things. You can do the comparison of English, German, and Dutch, and then tell me what are the similarities that you see. Type that. Then skip a line. Do Spanish, Portuguese, and Italian. Tell me what are the differences and similarities that you see. And then do Russian, Ukrainian, and Polish, and tell me what are the differences and similarities that you see. And you can send that all on one paper. Please remember, you need complete sentences. Capitalization is required. There's no text message language, text message speak that you are sending to me. All right? Again, go back if you need to. I'll be on conference if you have any questions. All right, take care, guys. See ya.